Okay, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the actual Red Devil studio. It is Old Man G here, back again with another weekly episode of Manchester United News Now. It's a weekly Manchester United news episode we do Saturdays about 6 o'clock, where we essentially just do a bit of a review to everything that's been going on in the world of Manchester United Football Club. And just to recap things, and frankly, it's been a crazy 24 hours, a lot of stuff to go through. I've got a few announcements to basically make at the beginning of the show. We're going to be giving some player ratings. I was supposed to do it last night, but before going into the show, we should probably just go and basically just crack on to it this time around. And then we're going to go and just talk a bit about the fact that Bruno and Pogba can actually work together. Then we're going to talk about can United, given the result, get top four. And then we're going to basically just sort of talk about United versus Sheffield. Obviously, I post a lot of Manchester United versus Spurs stuff, essentially yesterday. So by all means, check out the videos on the page. Make sure you give a like, give a share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio, also on socials below. But yeah, I did a brief instant match reaction, and then I did a post match reaction as well. So guys, get involved, get started, and yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, just a few announcements to basically just make regarding Manchester United, well, not Manchester United and the channel, but most of the channel actually. So good news and bad news. The good news, I think, is that we've started actually channel memberships. I know I don't have a massively big channel, but we started channel memberships for this channel. So basically just involve, it will involve you basically, what am I trying to say here? Like, they're basically three tiers. The simple stuff. They're three tiers: bronze, silver, and gold. And becoming part of a member, part of this channel, to just support Old Man G here with the content and just help him just deliver the content and direct the content to its guides. So to support the channel and appreciate, they've got 3-tier memberships, and basically each tier you get different levels of basically perks or benefits. So for example, you've got a bronze membership, you get access to exclusive emojis, badges by your name, and access to like member only community posts and live streams. Up until the gold tier, where you get to request specific videos, and also get what I hope to do is like a specific member-based podcast where members just discuss all things football and just dedicate more time to that, So there are a lot of things. Like I said, shout out to Raymond Moorman. Hope you're doing well, buddy. But yeah, there are a lot of things, so I'd really appreciate it. Links in the description. There's obviously join page as well on the videos on the top of the community tab. If you're interested in becoming a member, if you have any further questions, just ask me. Either DM me on Twitter, message me on this channel, or email. Give me email. I'll be happy to explain more. So, but yeah. That's the membership. I'll be plugging that for quite some time, so until you get sick of it. But it's just the best way to support the channel. Hit that join, get involved, because it will encourage more content to be delivered on this channel. So that's memberships out of the way. Further announcements. So not so great news is that when it comes to these live streams, YouTube, I'm streaming via StreamYard. It's great, it's fine, but for some reason my videos, after whichever stream I use, they seem to get stuck. Shout out to Dan San and Footy Live. I'll get your comments. Let's face, we need to send it back. We're going to come to that when our player ratings. Yeah, for some reason, a lot of my streams get stuck in processing. So what I would say to you guys, for those of you guys watching live, or for those who are going to be watching afterwards, make sure that you bookmark this link. Make sure you bookmark this link in YouTube or on Facebook. Facebook, I think, is fine, but if you're watching on Facebook and Twitch, you should be okay. But if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you save this link in your browser if you want to come back to the video, because when my stream finishes, it gets stuck in YouTube processing for some reason, and it doesn't end up going onto the page proper until 12 hours later. So either save this link or save this link or bookmark this link. And actually, or keep an eye on the main page, where it will probably be added to a playlist. So for example, my post-match reaction will be seen on the playlist, but it's not going to be seen on the main channel. So just bear that in mind. YouTube have just been messing me up quite a bit during this whole pandemic thing. It's not been great, and it's stopped me from delivering more content I would like to content. So those are my main big announcements. Well, football is back, and we'll be trying to give a lot more content to you guys. The podcast's obviously going to be back 9 o'clock on Mondays UK time. I'm going to try and do another one if we can. Sheffield United preview will be coming next week. You know, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming back. We're going to get back to normality, and we'll take things from there. Now, before I get into this main thing is all about, let me just quickly go through your comments. Dan San says, "Let's face the truth. We need a centre back." I said I'll come to that, and a striker. Shout out to Footy Live. Hassan Mubarak says we're lacking a centre forward. Anthony Marshall's a disaster. Well, let me come to that. Let me quickly, in fact, because the next topic, because this is part of is actually the player ratings. I was supposed to do the player ratings yesterday, but I didn't for various reasons. So I'm going to just start with player ratings. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I'll go through the team, explain why I think they get the mark they get, and then we'll sort of take things from there. So first and foremost, we start with David De Gea. While I accept that Harry Maguire is probably at fault for that goal, David De Gea here, he should save that. And what's so frustrating for me, what's so frustrating about this whole ordeal is that he's made mistakes like this in the past that have cost us games. Okay, if people remember the just before the season, the Everton game when we drew 1-1, and we played similarly to we played against Everton, where I don't know what he's doing, kicks it, makes it. I don't know what he's doing, and we concede, and we're put under pressure. You know, it's not good enough. And you know, I get that people have been out for 3 months. I'm going to talk about that because on reflection, on sleeping on the whole thing, the reality is that all these players have been playing for 3 months. They're probably a bit rusty. I don't think you can completely blame this squad for how they performed, etc. You know, so I think that we need to be reasonable. However, the issue with David De Gea is that these have been, you know, world-class keepers save that. Good keepers save that. Poor keepers don't save that. You know, Dean Henderson saves that. You know, Ben Foster saves that. Peter Schmeichel saves that. David De Gea should really be saving that. And it's frustrating. It is frustrating. Yeah, I'm going to be coming back to what you guys think about players. But for me, David De Gea gets a 4. No, 5. He gets a 5 because he was partly responsible. Sorry, guys. That's better. He gets a 5 because he helped us actually. Yeah, that's better. Sorry, guys. He gets a 5 because he made a good save against Son. And if that goes in, it's pretty much game over because you know Mourinho's going to park the bus. But he keeps on putting us under necessary pressure. And I think that I think he's had the position for so long and has had no competition. And I think that you need to start giving the likes of Romero and possibly Henderson a shout. So David De Gea gets a 5 for me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Raymond Moore says, what's your thought on Roy Keane's comments to Maguire and De Gea? He's absolutely angry. Roy Keane was mad. Roy Keane was pissed. And for good reason, because it's basic. And I think the thing is that, like, if this was an isolated incident, then you could say, okay, fine. You know, it's the fact that this has happened several times this season, though, and it's cost us points. I would argue we've lost between 9 to 12 points this season because of a David De Gea error. Let's say 9 to give it to the best. We have. Everton, both times, I feel like De Gea should be stronger in that corner, although I still think he was fouled. But in the first one, he where is he? What's he doing? Made a mistake, I think, against, was it Burnley or West Ham? You know, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. But anyway, let me move on. But yeah, but Roy Keane, what Roy Keane said was angry, but he's not wrong. De Gea should be doing better, in my opinion. Let's quickly move on. I will be getting to your comments, guys. I just want to get through these player ratings quick because we've got a lot to talk about. Victor Lindelof. I'll give Lindelof a 6. for the simple fact that I don't think Lindelof did anything wrong per se, but this is the big thing with this team is that we need a pacey centre back. Now, for everyone who's saying, and I think Sam has said that we need a centre back, we need to keep all these things. The fact is, we've just spent 80 million on Harry Maguire, so we're not going to be buying another centre back. We're not. So we need to look at what centre backs we have. And right now we have Bailly, Twansibi, and Phil Jones as backup. Twansibi and Jones are injured, and so we just have Bailly as backup. Now the reality is that we need a pacey centre back to play either alongside a Lindelof or alongside a Harry Maguire. That's what we need. That's what we need. It's as simple as that. That is what we need. And if Bailly is playing alongside Maguire in that game, or alongside Lindelof in that game, we don't concede that goal. We might concede a penalty, possibly, but we don't concede the goal. We don't concede. When you see Bailly playing, and this is, and again, and I'll come to Maguire next because he's going to get a lower score. When you see Bailly playing, we don't get bossed by long balls up the top, because that's essentially what happened. It happened against, I think, West Ham and Burnley and Bournemouth, and it happened against Crystal Palace as well. You know, this sort of just defend deep, long ball up the top, gets out Lindelof and Harry Maguire every single time because they don't have the pace, let alone coming back from 3 months. You know, so but Maguire, outside that, didn't really do anything wrong. I think he gets a 6 for me. This guy, on the other hand, who's our supposed captain, he gets 4.5. He gets a 4.5 to me. He gets a 4.5 to me because he really should not be being done by Bergwijn there. He should be either getting close or not letting him get past him. And Harry Maguire really, needs to step up a bit. I mean, it's difficult because of his high price tag, and of course he's not been playing for 3 months. But for me, this is a player who cost 80 million and is not playing like an 80 million centre back. Yes, United arguably were foolish to spend that amount of money. I would agree with that, but he needs to do better. And that goal is in part his fault. He needs to do better there. He needs to. So he gets a 4.5 for me. I don't think I'll give him as low as De Gea. I'm only just throwing at De Gea just simply because he should save that. And it's just, and while I don't think it's solely his fault, at the same time, he's been there before. He's been there before. Just a few quick comments here. De Gea, yeah, De Gea costs more points than he gives. That is true. And Raymond Moore says De Gea cost us so many games with his blunders. Agreed. Oblak in Manchester United now. I don't even think you need to get Oblak. You know, these we don't need a world-class keeper. We just need a good keeper. Like I said, Dean Henderson, Romero, they make those saves. You know, it's not for a world-class keeper. Those saves are made by good keepers, but for some reason, De Gea can't make them. Smalling was way better than Maguire. I'm not sure. I think it's just the fact that Maguire's price tag. But I think the big thing, as I've said, is that you can't play 2 centre backs with no pace together. They're going to be outdone, and that's basically what happened in this game. Quickly moving on. Oops, sorry, back. Wan-Bissaka, I'll give a 6. I don't think he had that great of a game. His crossing obviously wasn't particularly great. We've known that for a while, but you know, he just seemed a bit I won't say unfit, but not lacking sharpness. And that was the sum of this whole team. Is that we didn't play badly, but it was clear that we lacked match fitness. And that's the sort of annoying thing about this game, is that before lockdown, how we played this game against Spurs, we would have gone into this game and we would have battered Spurs, because Spurs had injuries and we looked fit going into this game. We had players who were at it. Now Spurs get their players back. it's been a long layoff, and everyone just doesn't look particularly sharp, you know. So incidental thing though, for those who are saying that Kane and Son were going to just sort of boss Manchester United, they were invisible. Aside from Kane's chance in the first half, he was invisible. And Harry Kane, I didn't even know he was playing. You know, sit down, all those Martial haters. So yeah, Wan-Bissaka for me is 6, because even though in attack he was terrible, the reality is that they weren't coming down his side that much unless they doubled up on him. They weren't. It was the left side that we were getting the problems. And speaking of left side, Shaw, the thing is, I'll give Shaw 6 as well, but for different reasons. I give Shaw 6 for the simple reason that in the first half he was trash. He was, in my opinion, he was trash. He just wasn't fit. He looked slow. He was just all over the show. He just did not look good at all in the first half. But in the second half, he made 2 very, very important interceptions, very, very key interceptions that he made in that first half. And you know, does Brandon Williams do that? I'm not 100% sure. So the thing with Shaw, like Williams, is that like a lot of these players that they suffered yesterday, it's just match fitness, it's match sharpness. I don't think you can completely judge this team based on yesterday's performance. And at the end of the day, we didn't lose, so I'm still content having slept on it. But you know, I don't think he was the worst player on the field, and he did save us twice in the second half, and he did improve. So Shaw gets a 6 for me. I need to speak up because I've still got a lot of stuff to talk about. Thanks for tuning in, guys. By all means, make sure that you like the vid, like the vid, share and subscribe, comment. Doesn't take that much. Please give it a like and consider becoming a member. Scott McTominay and Fred, who I'll come on to later, had really, really poor games. McTominay and Fred, but certainly McTominay reminded me of when we played against Newcastle. Didn't really have any ideas. I didn't really know what McTominay was doing, really. Was he protecting the back 4? Was he trying to, you know, I don't know what McTominay was doing. We seemed to play 4-2-3-1, I think, with Fred and McTominay holding against a low block side, which you've known throughout this entire season does not work. I don't know why Ali insists in playing 4-2-3-1 against low block sides, and it didn't work. We were also saying to him 4-2-3-1 to 4-4-2, and I just didn't see what McTominay brought today, to be honest. I think Fred was marginally better, and I was surprised when McTominay came up, because aside from effort, what did McTominay really do? You know, the passing from him was to create things was dreadful. There was no, our midfield, it was unbalanced. There was nothing, you know. So, you know, if we're playing against low box slides, I'm not saying against like a Manchester City or something where you could hit them and sort of, that's fine. But against low block teams, they're just going to park in the box. You can't play McTominay and Fred together, you know. So I'm going to give McTominay a 4.5 as well. I think these are harsh, but there we are. Just reading against me comments, I think De Gea's head is in Spain. I don't know where his head is because he's not going to get to Real Madrid. Courtois there. Sorry. Wan-Bissaka's terrible in attack. Like I said, you know, it's people aren't sharp, so and he'll change with that. We've known that for a while, but defensively he's fine, you know. So what more can you ask for? I'm sure he's better defensive player. He is a better offensive player than Wan-Bissaka. I agree. I definitely agree with that, but the goal does come down his side. It's the thing. So, you know, on the one hand, yes, that's why we need a right winger, because what a lot of people don't understand is that, like, Wan-Bissaka is got Daniel James in front of him, who, you know, what is Daniel James going to do? He gets Lingard in front of him. So it's a lot harder for Wan-Bissaka on the right side than it is for Luke Shaw on the left side, who has like either Rashford or Martial, who are good at coming back. Well, certainly Rashford is, and are good at playing off the left. You know, so we're relying on Wan-Bissaka to do things as almost like a right winger, when we should be really relying on an actual right wing player, you know, in my opinion. And the Raymond midfield is a mess, according to Raymond Moore. Don't know what I'm doing now. Let's get rid of that. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going back to using a PC, and it just sucks. It really, really does suck. But anyway, on to the play rating. I give him a 4.5. I'll quickly have to speed through this. Fred, I'll give a 5. I think that again, the same thing, showed a lot of passion, but passing wasn't great today. Midfield was a bit all. I don't think him and Bruno really connected well, and I just think that that's just because, you know, the midfield that worked before we closed the season was Matic, and I'll come to Matic in a later segment, but Matic, Fred, and Bruno, because Matic just held. Fred and you can't. Fred and McTominay, two the same player. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. I would drop Fred and McTominay for next game and play Matic and Pogba. And like I said, we'll get onto that. We'll get onto that. United says we don't have wingers. Bruno, I'll give a 7.5. Before Pogba came on, he was our best player. He was trying to create things, was trying to do everything, and that, you could argue that's almost the weakness of Bruno, is that he was trying to do too much. He was trying to do too much, and had he not been trying to do too much, I know. So there was some lack of composure sometimes, I think, as well. I do think that there are times when you're like, Bruno, why are you shooting from out that far out? There were like 3 or 4 sides when he was just shooting from, 70, 80 yards, and you're like, just pass it. Just make a simple pass, just do that. Don't just sort of be speculative, So there was a bit of that. It wasn't a great game by his standards, I think, but compared to a lot of the other United players, I still think he held his own. So he gets a 7.5 to me. Daniel James gets a 4. Daniel James was bad. Daniel James was so bad. And again, rustiness. It could be rustiness. It really could be. Ilya says Fred 5. I agree. Yeah, Bruno 7. And for everyone who's watching, please get your match, your score predictions in. Definitely get them in. But Daniel James was bad. And I was a bit surprised because obviously he's younger, so I thought that maybe he should be, getting into it. But nah, he wasn't good. He wasn't good. And hopefully he will improve. But it's evidence that he's not a first choice to right. Like, he's not a natural right winger anyway. He's a left winger, and he's not our starting right winger. And to be honest, when Greenwood came on, we were a lot better. So 4 for me for Daniel James. He running, but the thing is, the running thing with Daniel James only works if you got space to run into. And the thing about Jose's teams is that they suffocate that space. So this wasn't the right game for Daniel James, and that's on the manager. He should know that. He shouldn't be playing into Mourinho's hands. He should know that you're going to play placing a long block, and Daniel James can't do that. So you have to bring in creative players like a Pogba, a Matic, even to a certain extent a Greenwood, to try and break these teams down. That's what you need to do. And Daniel James was just running and not much else because he couldn't really get through for obvious reasons. So he's a 4. Marcus Rashford. Rashford, I'll give a 6. Again, could have been better. He did have, I think, 2 good chances that were like he should have really put away. Did help to defend well, but I won't say mostly quiet, but whatever formation Ollie was playing, it just didn't seem to work. At some point, I was thinking he was playing 4-4-2. They were interchanging between. So is Rashford now? I don't know. Like, the interchanging thing, I guess, can work, but I think you still need to have people that have got designated roles. And looking at the front line a lot of the time, I wasn't sure what the designator of each player was. Who's in the number 9? Who's going to be in the box? Oh, you, not me. It was just a bit disjointed, really. So yeah, not the worst player, like I said, but there just needs to be a bit of communication between the front players as to who's doing what, in my opinion. Martial, I think I'll say Martial 5.5. I think that there's been a lot of criticism directed towards Anthony Martial, which I think is unjust. I think he had 2 very good chances against Lugo Lloris, and Lugo has made 2 very good saves. The second one in the second half was better. So if he puts those away, we're not having this conversation. And they would have been very good finishes. But he doesn't, and you have to pick yourself up and try again. But the reality is that I don't think that he was the worst player on the pitch. And the fact that, like, I have a lot of, like, non-United fans and possibly some United fans basically saying, going on Martial, he's trash, he's this, whatever. And this is addressing Don Son's point, I think. The fact you have so many of them doing that, and yet Harry Kane was completely and totally absent in this game. I don't even know. I mean, if someone let me in the comments, did Harry Kane even have a shot on Manchester United's goal? Because I don't think he did. And you're kind of, but Kane's amazing. Kane's awesome. He was absent from that entire game, completely absent. Ilya, next game needs to go on. So I'm going to get to Greenwood. Yeah, the Brighton 2-1 thing. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I also feel even a bit better. Because at the end of the day, I'm complaining about a draw to Spurs, even though I know we have the squad to win and we could have won that. And Arsenal are losing to Brighton, Hove Albion, and have compacted injuries. And no one wants to be injured. This is the thing. This is the thing about Ilya, is that, like, I don't even feel. I actually feel pity. That's what I feel. I feel pity, really, with Arsenal Football Club. Okay. Ooh, so that's Martial. So those are the player ratings for the game. Now, the big thing actually for me from this conversation is actually who didn't play, because you could clearly see that the players who didn't play really need to play. And the first person on this is Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba needs to play. He needs to start. When Paul Pogba came on that field, and for everyone who said Pogba, and Ilya, I know you said that Paul Pogba should go. I know you did. You can't hide behind those comments. I've got them. But you must admit that Pogba, he needs to start, he needs to play, and we need to be building a team. This is the thing. This is what Pogba was promised at the start of this whole thing, was that Pogba was promised that a team would be built around him. That's what he was promised. That's all. That's what the Pogba was promised. He was promised that a team would be built around him, and it wasn't. And just look. But the things with Bruno, possibly Sancho, we can start to build a team around him. If we can keep him, we've got a shot. If we lose Pogba, then we need to sign, because there are not many midfielders in the world that are like Pogba, who can ping a pass. That pass to Marcus Rashford was world class. World class. World class. And then, if you watch the way they got the penalty, he completely destroys Eric Dyer. He sends him back. He sends him back to China. All the way to China. I know he's not from China, but he sends him to China. That's what he does. You see, he comes in 1-2, off floor, or then Dyer, trying to recover, fouls him in the box, gives away the penalty. That is the poor Pogba that we need. And what was evident in this game is that you can play. For everyone who's saying, "Oh, you can't play Pogba and Bruno, it's not going to work, it's going to work," like, you can play Pogba and Bruno together. Just do it. Just play Pogba and Bruno together. That's it. It works. Good players make decisions. At one point, Pogba was playing on the right wing. He was coming on. He was like, good players play well together. Simple as that. And we get a point from that game, or possibly win that game, because of this guy, because of poor Pogba. That's the fact. That's the fact. But I will make some honorable mentions. Kane, Elena says Kane was dead against United. I mean, he was. He was. 2 losses in the row for Arsenal. Arteta's looking no more friendly. I mean, the reality is that, like I said, I don't even call Arsenal Banter FC anymore. It's PDFC. They're a mid-table team now. They're a mid-table team. We're at least trying to consider top 4. We've got a Europa League, so they're a mid-table team. Mid-table. People were bantering me last night that United got a point away from home against Spurs. And you have Arsenal can't even beat Brighton away. Okay, we've beaten them already this season. They've lost to them both. Okay. Dan San, Pogba for me is a nice player to trade. He's not happy. We can make Pogba Dybala. Imagine Bruno Fernandes can. I don't know, mate. No, I actually think Dybala is actually grossly overrated. I don't rate Dybala at all. You know, he's okay. He's certainly a different player to Pogba. Pogba is like almost like creative. You know, he's not a cam. He's not like a Bruno. Bruno is a cam. Pogba is like a sort of a creative box-to-box kind of, you know, midfielder in terms of he can play deep, he can carry the ball, he can take players on, you can't get the ball off him, and he can make ping passes. You know, he is almost like a complete midfielder. You know, like we need to keep him, in my opinion. Yes, I know he has off games, but for me, we need to keep him. We need to keep him because there are not many players in the world that play like that, and we lose him. You're not going to be able to just bring in a midfielder that does that. You're not, and we will notice it. We saw that in the game. We saw it in the game. We saw it in the game. Just a thing, TBF, shout out to you, man. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining the stream, and head out to check out his channel, by the way, guys. Raymond Moore says, just say Pogba has so much composure in keeping ball. Exactly. We don't have many ball-playing players at Manchester United. Let alone players that can create. So for me, we need to keep Pogba. We need to keep Pogba. Mid-table team. I read there was about to see going in, champ. It's pity. Like I said, it's pity for Arsenal. It's pity. It's pity. It's pity. It's pity. So just a few honourable mentions to players. Greenwood. When Greenwood came on, Greenwood looked good. That goal, that last chance that he had, I was like, oh man, if only he'd scored that goal. But mate, Mason Greenwood for me needs to start with Daniel James. I'm not saying that Daniel James is terrible, but Greenwood, even though he's 17, has more footballing intelligence than Daniel James. I'm not saying he's going to score goals, but at least as standing in right winger, play Mason Greenwood. Martial, you know, Rashford, Martial's number 9. Tell him to stay at number 9. If he doesn't, Igalo comes in. We'll get to that later. But Greenwood has to start on the right. You've got to play Mason Greenwood now because, you know, Greenwood was just poof. Especially against Sheffield, we've got to play Greenwood, you know. So I think he did well when he came off the bench. Matic is interesting. Matic came on, and I said in my preview that I wanted Matic to start because the thing that people don't get about Matic is that, and what suffered in this midfield is that while Matic is static, he can pass the ball. He has composure on the ball. So yes, he can't run back, fine. But he has composure on the ball. He can pass the ball. He can also make a mean yard strike as well. But he has composure on the ball. And that's what we needed. There was many times especially when we conceded towards that first half where like we were just passing here, there, everywhere. It was awful. It was atrocious. And as soon as Pogba and Matic come on, suddenly we have ball-playing players that can pass the ball. The midfield, there was a bit of control because he was able to pass the ball properly and get players. So for me, I know he's probably not fit, but for me, you start Matic and then playing for 40, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. You know, the thing is that I noticed, the things I noticed, right, is that when people talk about fitness, there's no reason why we can't play these players because we have drinks breaks. So really, you're playing like we have like what 5-10 minutes, I think 5 minutes, I think drinks breaks. So there's no reason why you can't play Matic from the get-go when when we get drinks breaks, when they have pauses. You have a pause in the game, then you have halftime, then you have another pause, you have halftime, and then you have to play 60 minutes. So for me, Matic should start. Matic should start. Just reacted to De Gea conceding against Tottenham in the combination of worst goal give saves. Low. De Gea has been in many, dude, and yeah, I was laughing. It is what it is. I think question marks need to be made over De Gea. In my opinion, I agree. TBF Daniel James tends to operate more wide and makes 4-2-1 more efficient, but Greenwood tends to move centrally, and that's when the dynamic of the game changed when it was 4-3-3. I mean, the thing is that like, I said this earlier in the stream, is that Daniel James is fine. So it works great against City when there's space for us to run into, or potentially against Liverpool, when there's space for us to run into, Daniel James is fine, you know. But when there's no space to run into, and when you've got playing against a team with a low block, it's pointless. And he didn't have any space to run into to play out wide. He didn't, you know. So, and then Raymond Moore, Mason Greenwood can win area battle and hold the ball better than little Daniel James. He's faster James, and I agree. I agree with that. I agree. Just a few honorable mentions. Igalo, when he came on, didn't seem to do that particularly much. But for me, again, Igalo is a number 9. Is Martial number 9? I'm not sure. Because when Igalo came on, once again, there was someone in the box. You know, for most parts of the half, it was like even when Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw were trying to give in shots, you need to put someone in the box. You need to put someone in the box. You need to put someone. So Igalo either comes on earlier or he starts. You know, for me, the big problem with Anthony Martial and Rashford is that they aren't physical enough. So against Sheffield United, so for me, for example, against Sheffield United, I'm going to be controversial. I would start Igalo because Igalo will back up to defenders. He'll back up, he'll back up, he'll back up. He'll be rough, he'll be physical. You know, that's what we need against low block teams. You know, you don't need, pretty football is fine when you're playing quick counter-attack. When you're playing against low block teams that are going to be compact, you need physical players. That's why Costa was a beast for Chelsea, because he was like, screw you. And he could finish. You know, we need a Igalo in these games, you know, and I want him to seem to start honestly against Sheffield United, because we need that oomph. We need that kind of, right, okay. And one thing that is great about Igalo is that he brings players in with him. So he'll hold up the ball, he'll back into defenders, and by holding that ball up, because we didn't have anyone that held up the ball today, really. We didn't. Igalo will hold up the ball, he'll hold it up, and he'll wait for those players to come in, and then boom, you know, it's as simple as that. And then lastly, just Eric Bailly. Drop either Lindelof or Maguire and put Eric Bailly next to one of them. Please do that, Solskjaer. I know he's potentially injury prone, but if Bailly plays in that game, we don't concede that goal. Simple as. Because he has the recovery pace to not let us concede it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Average Joe, shout out to you, man. Hope you're doing well. I'm just going to give it to him before next segment. I spent 30 minutes giving player ratings, you know, so it's funny. Just quickly, yeah, Mason Greenwood. So Dan San says, it must be new member. Thank you for joining, subscribing, Dan San, by the way. So it's good for them to be back. What do you think about the rumors about CR7 ending career in Manchester United? Nah, I mean, I would have loved to have CR7 maybe 2, maybe 3 years back, but like, what is CR7 going to do in Manchester United right now? Like, even seeing him play for Juventus and Italy, which is a much slower league, like he's beginning to struggle. You're beginning to see it. So maybe 3 years ago, maybe when he left Madrid, I probably would have been like, yeah, it would have been good. But not now. As much as I love him, I wouldn't have him back, because it's just not what we need. You know, we don't need another Zlatan. I think we need to be looking forward. TBF, also, there are many times when Luke Shaw would move forward up the pitch on a line, Manchester United would form into a 3-man defense, and else disadvantage there. Yes, you're absolutely right. We're playing at times we were actually playing 3 at the back, sometimes 5 at the back. It's Ollie's tactics. It's definitely Ollie's tactics, TBF. I definitely agree. I almost wasn't able to cover as much ground, and Dan James had a very clear discount, in my opinion, was able to do. Because Daniel James isn't the right winger, and I agree. That's why I don't give... People need to understand that, like, if Sancho plays in front of Wan-Bissaka, we've got something else. Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James, communication between the two has not been particularly good. But I think that this all comes down to the coach. And Ollie, who I haven't got a picture of, I think I'll give an average 5, because I think tactically from the get-go we got it wrong, and it was Pogba that came and made the difference. And before I get into one of your comments, I'll quickly move on, because otherwise it's going to be a long show. Just a brief thing on this, and I'll probably get this up. Oops, sorry for that. Bruno and Pogba can play together. They can play together. And that's the positive thing about this whole thing, is that Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba can play together. There was a lot of trepidation coming into this game that Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba, will it work, will it not? Or Pogba's this, or Pogba's that, blah, 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 blah. I think there was an article in the Daily Mail that was like, oh, Pogba can, what's the sort of, he can. After this game, it's painfully obvious that you could see even the 1-2s, they were in the wavelength. So against Sheffield on Wednesday, you start Pogba and Bruno. You start Pogba and Bruno. They can play together. Okay? You drop, either McTominay plays in Matic's plays, but I would still probably put Matic, to be honest, because I think you need a someone who can pass the ball well. And if he's flat out after 30 minutes, then you can bring McTominay on. And then you give Pogba rest, and then you can bring Fred on later. That's how we should set up, But play, for the love of God, play Pogba and Bruno together. If they played together at the start of this game, we win this game. Okay? It's going to be difficult because if Chelsea beat Villa tomorrow, and I hope they don't, but yeah, there's a very good chance they will. Although you never know. Arsenal lost against Brighton, and Villa are fighting for relegation, so it's going to be tough. But we need to take advantage of it. And if Chelsea win, there'll be 5 points. I still think Chelsea will lose to Liverpool and City, but we need to basically win all of our games from now to have a chance of getting top 4. 5th place, I think, is doable, especially if we beat Sheffield. That knocks them out of the race, and Wolves, we'll see about Wolves, because Arsenal are not going to get 4th. Spurs aren't going to get 4th. If we beat Sheffield United, they're not going to get 5th or 4th. So really, we just have to worry about Chelsea and Wolves for that fifth spot if we're talking about the City ban, etc. Few of your comments here. Yeah, player ratings, by the way, guys. Get your player ratings in here. Dan is not happening. He's not coming. I mean, he's Dan James is not going to be first team player. What's good, Joe? Average Joe. Hope you're doing well, brother. You're doing well. What pass give regards to Greenwood in the end? I mean, this is what I'm saying. Ighalo brings. This is. I'm not the manager. I'm not, and I know Ollie has his favourites. But for me, against low block teams, Ighalo's got to start. Ighalo's got to start. He's got to start. He's got to start for me. I think you've got to bench Martial, and you've got to play Ighalo. You got to. Please, Ollie, if you're watching, please. Ighalo is a better version of Lukaku. His ball control touch. Yeah, exactly. I didn't like the fact that we sold Lukaku because he helped us against small teams, which has been our issue this season. But the thing with Ighalo is that he is better because his touch is better. And his passing is, well, Lukaku's passing not that bad, but his control and his ability to bring players in, it's his ball control, his touch. He can bring players in. I remember that, that flick against City to put Fred in that to get that assist. Beautiful. Lukaku has just been amazing because he's got a second striker like Lautaro Martinez behind him, and a coach who's able to use him better. So I wouldn't say Lukaku's a better player than, it's Serie A at the end of the day, and that is what it is. We need to have a conversation on De Gea. Well, if you go back into the stream, I spent probably the first 50 minutes talking about De Gea. Perfectly honest, about 10 minutes into the stream talking about David De Gea and the fact that he's problematic. So it's probably about minute 10, 15 minutes if you go back average. Shout out to United, man. Tell them G. And I think that Azim, that's in reaction to the fact that these two should be playing together. You need to play Pogba and Bruno together. You need to. That was what was so disappointing me about this game, is that, we had the players to win and we didn't. And I really don't want to see us play 4-2-3-1 at home against Sheffield. I don't want us to see us play McTominay. I don't want us to go back to how we were playing before this season, or during the beginning of the season, we didn't have Pogba, when we didn't have Bruno, when we didn't have Igalo, and rely on our creativity in our midfield to be Scott McTominay and Fred. That cannot happen. Let's just quickly go on. So yeah, simple point, but Pogba and Bruno can play together, and they should play together. Simple as. Quick discussion here. Is top four over? Is top four over? Is top four over? Simple answer to this question is no. By the way, 11 people watching, guys, make sure that you like the vid, like the vid, like the vid. It doesn't cost you a lot. Like the vid, appreciate it. Like the vid, share the vid. Feel free to give a comment and get involved in the rants. And if you really want to support the channel, really, really appreciate it. We started channel memberships, so join. It's not that much a month. You get a lot of exclusive benefits that are there already, and I'm be working on. So just feel free to support Old Man G and get involved and become of the Red Devil Studio fan army. So yeah, another plug. There you go. There you go. I'm going to be doing that a lot at the end of the day. But they're nice badges. I made some nice badges for you guys. Some nice United badges, amongst other things. Anyway, is top four over though? Is top four over? No, it's not. In fact, let me just screen share. I'll show you the table. We're going to be making some interesting readings. So here's the table here. Here's the table here. So obviously Liverpool are ahead. They're not. They've played 82. Liverpool going to win the league. Simple as that. Let's just deal with that. City have got 60 points. They're pretty much in a comfortable second. That's not going to change. Leicester have got 54 points. Leicester dropped points again against Watford away. Now it's interesting. I think we are currently right now, we're about, 8 points from Leicester. If we beat Leicester in the last game of the season, we'll be 5 points. Can Leicester City drop 6 points? Yes, I think they can. I think they can. I think they can. When we're looking at the top four race, and obviously Chelsea, they've still got a game to play, they'll probably beat Villa, so they'll be 5 points ahead of us with 52 points. The key thing here is, well, at the end of the day, we need to win. If we win the rest of our games, and bearing in mind that most of the we played all the big teams effectively, we have a chance to still get a chance to get in top four, because I think that we have a better run than Chelsea. We have a better run than Wolves. We have a better run than even Leicester. They could lose those games. So we need to beat Sheffield. That for me is a good. If we beat Sheffield, because I think Chelsea are playing Manchester City next weekend, I think that gap can be closed to potentially 2 points. And then they have Liverpool to play and so on. And Leicester City, Leicester City dropped points against Watford. And to be honest, they weren't that great. And that was Watford. So we've got to think about it. We've got to think about it. Third and fourth are still open. So, yeah, I think that we can get top four. I mean, just as a side, Spurs are got 42 points. So Spurs are 4 points behind us in eighth. I don't think they're going to catch up to us. I don't think Spurs look like they were good enough, to be honest. Sheffield United could leapfrog us into fifth, to be fair, if they win their next game in hand. But their next game in hand is against us. So that's why we need to win. Because if we lose to Sheffield, problem. Arsenal on 30 points are in ninth, just for people that want to be aware of that. And looking at the teams that are below them, Crystal Palace, Burnley, if those two teams win their games, Arsenal will be 11th. It's sad times if you're an Arsenal fan. It's sad times if you're an Arsenal fan. It really, really is sad times. Quick questions. Lukaku's working with worse players as well. I don't know. I wouldn't say that Eriksen, Lautaro Martinez, their keeper. Who else do Inter have? They've got a few good players, and it's the Italian league. It's a slower pace as well. So yeah. United, man, they are definitely on the same page. Like you say, it's obvious in regards to Pogba and Bruno. Absolutely, absolutely, champ. And please head over to his channel, by the way, and subscribe to the United Man. Imagine if we were winger Sancho. I can imagine it'd be better than Daniel James. Absolutely. Chelsea will not win. I'm saying 1-0 to Villa. Well, it's interesting because, like I said, I thought Leicester were going to beat Watford. They didn't. I thought that Arsenal were going to beat Brighton. They didn't. You know, it comes down to fitness at the end of the day. And to be honest, Chelsea, I know they're signing Werner and Ziyech, but not going to be playing. They're going to be using Abraham, Giroud, and Batshuayi, you know, and Pulisic, I think, might be able to come back. So they should win. I still think they should beat Villa, but it's not a foregone conclusion, especially against teams that are fighting for survival. So I agree. You can't write them Villa off just yet. And I've got Grealish in my fantasy football team, so there you go. One problem that we saw again, my guy, is there were times when Bruno would drop deep to give the overflow midfield. You should proceed from the centre, but hardly any impact there. Pogba. You know, and you're right. You're right about Bruno dropping deep, and that's why, like I said, why I think Matic is very important. When Matic was introduced, you could see that Bruno didn't drop deep anymore. You know, that's the importance of a holding midfield. That's why for me, the most important signing for Manchester United to make this summer is two. It's a right winger and a CDM, like an Ndidi. Those are, for me, the priority areas. Everything else can be managed, but those two are the priority areas because that's where we're going to be weak. We sign a world-class CDM and a right winger like Sancho and Ndidi. We're gunning. And the most stupid thing I witnessed is Bruno moving wide to drag the fullback out very less times and after following procedure. I agree. And I just say his run will get clocked and very often couldn't time the run properly in order to carry this out efficiently. I agree. Raymond says it ain't over till it's over, which I also agree. Arjo, we always struggle against the small teams. Well, that should be changing with Pogba and Bruno in my midfield. That's the fault. And shots fired against Arsenal, and Joe, shots fired to the Arsenal fans again. I mean, my bro who's on the podcast, it's going to be a very interesting Red Devil Live podcast. My bro Josh, who comes on, has already said he's as an Arsenal fan, he's already said he probably might not come on because the bans he's going to get. But I'll try and convince him because I do think it's fair to have balanced views, balanced opinions on the whole thing because. You know, to get to what people feel or think about the situation, because I think Arsenal in a crisis right now, and they need to get out of it quickly. Let's quickly, and okay, so last topic here, because we've been almost an hour, and I need to wrap this up. But this has been a good show, guys, and thank you guys so much for getting involved and interacting. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studios. Share the link, follow us on our socials, and consider joining us on a membership to become part of the Red Devil Studio Live army. It doesn't cost you much. United versus Sheffield United preview. I'm going to be doing a proper preview on Tuesday evening, 8 o'clock, so stay tuned for that. But the reality is that we need to win this game. Sheffield United were probably unfortunate not to, beat Aston Villa due to what happened with technology. But even then, to be honest, they were semi-toothless, to be honest. It was quite a dull game. I didn't really watch it. I was a few highlights, but it didn't look great. But we know that Sheffield United are a team that could defend very well. This is the same thing with the Spurs game where, I know that Chris Wilder is going to set up Sheffield to defend and then hit United on the break with their pace. So we need to go out and attack Sheffield United and break them down. Ollie, please do not play with two holding midfielders, their names being Fred and McTominay. If you are going to play 4-2-3-1, at least play Matic, Pogba in that position and then Bruno ahead, because that you do that. Okay, don't play Fred and McTominay as the two holding. I would even say don't play McTominay and Pogba as the two holding. If you're going to play a two holding, it's got to be Matic and Pogba with Bruno ahead. Okay, if you don't want to play Pogba, if you want to give him rest, then you play Matic with Fred and Bruno. I don't want to see McTominay and Fred together as two holding against a Sheffield United side. They're going to play a low block. Please learn from this Ollie. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. But I respect you. I respect you. He's the coach. He's the manager. But I just don't want him to play that way. United man, what do you think about Shaw's performance? I feel that having Sean Masako start is a problem in terms of attacking ability. I mean, it's like I said, at the end of the day, like, this is the first match back. Players look rusty. Wan-Bissaka look rusty. Shaw look rusty. You know, they need games to basically get their fitness back. And I think that's why I'm a lot more optimistic that United will win the Europa League, because by the time the Europa League comes through in, they'll be fit and we'll be able to play a strong squad against them. So I can't really. The thing is, all the players, whether you were either Spurs, United, you could clearly see that both sides looked rusty. Like, Harry Kane and Son were quiet for most of the game. Aside from Son's chance, Son was so quiet. It was like nothing. It was absolutely, he was quiet. He didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. Harry Kane wasn't even on the field. At least Martial, because people slate Martial, at least he had, I think, 2 maybe really good chances that thanks to Hugo Lloris, they're saved. You know, Harry Kane had nothing, and apparently he was going to batter United. And Harry Kane is playing. Harry Kane is playing against a team that has someone hit something against the window. Harry Kane is playing against a team with Maguire and Lindelof as centre backs who have no pace. So if Harry Kane couldn't beat Harry Maguire and Lindelof as centre backs, how do you expect Harry Kane to play against centre backs that have got more pace than him? Yeah, Spurs are done, you know. So, but yeah, there we go. Beef Bully, shout out to you, buddy. It's not over till it's over. 8 games there, 24 points. If we win, 70 points. Chelsea have Liverpool, Manchester City, Sheffield, and Wolves. Not easy, is it? So let's just try and win the games. Go Manchester. Exactly. It's what I'm saying. You know, Chelsea have not got Ziyech and Werner and Kai Havertz yet. Okay, they've still got Alonso, Zuma, and what's his name, Tammy, and Batshuayi in their attack. They might beat Liverpool. I don't think they'll beat City. They don't have the quality to beat City. I would be surprised if they beat Liverpool. I would be surprised if they might beat Sheffield, but it'll be difficult. And Wolves will be difficult. They've got difficult games. We played all these teams already. We've got Sheffield United to play. So, you know, I don't think it'll be easy. I think Chelsea will drop points because I just think that defensively they're not great either. And I just think that they lack clinical goal scorers. I don't think they'll score that many goals. So, yeah, it is what it is. Maybe more 2 taller, CDM, Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. That's the answer. Hope Ollie knows that. I hope he does too. I thought he did know that. If you look at my preview, I thought he would know that, but clearly he didn't. So that's why I'm a bit concerned, because I know that. Everyone here knows that. But does Ollie and his coaching staff know that? Does he have favourites? I don't know. But if that's the case, it's going to ruin our chances of getting top 4 and getting back in the Champions League. So he needs to fix that pronto. You know, he does. And he can start by starting Pogba. Wan-Bissaka's question moving forward: you need someone stronger than Fred to drop back in a 3-man defense when Wan-Bissaka goes forward. Matches the answer, and Pogba playing a deep playing playmaker. I've got no doubt that Wan-Bissaka is not great going forward. I think not everyone agrees with that. I just think the thing is that, like, he just gives us so much defensively that we can overlook that. And I think that if we've had a good right winger, then that minimizes that problem, because then we can focus on the right winger, actually putting in the crosses, driving the defense, etc., doing things. You saw that when Greenwood came on, so that there's not as much reliance on Wan-Bissaka to create things, because, like I said, defensively, the goal in particular, and most of Tottenham's issues came down the left-hand side. You know, Spurs were not a threat down the right, and that's been the summary all season. No issue down the right, really. It's either bypassing Harry Maguire through the centre or possibly down the left. And increasingly, it's actually through our centre, because we don't have a proper holding midfielder, and Maguire and Lindelof don't have any pace. So but what you've said, I agree. Although we shouldn't be playing free at the back like at all, in my opinion. But yeah, guys, United need to beat Sheffield. It's as simple as that. And like I said, please stay tuned for that preview. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for getting involved. I always love these comments. I love that we're having a bit of a community on this channel, and that these shows can be a lot more interactive. I'm hoping to do more live stream stuff, and hoping that YouTube will get on it and start fixing this whole issue they have with my streams getting stuck in processing. So if you do want to rewatch the show or go back, see if we address points, please save this link, bookmark this link, and basically go back and watch it, or have a look at the playlist. Bookmark the playlist. This is Manchester United News Now, episode 4. It will be on the playlist, but it's not going to be on the main page. So please have a look at that. Thanks again for everyone's watching. Shout out to like Raymond, Tivo, Dan, Average Joe, the United Man, Ilya, everyone basically that got involved. Raymond, sorry, everyone, and people watching on Facebook as well, on Twitch. Thank you guys so much for getting involved. You're part of this community, and please let me know what you like going with this channel further. Have a nice day, everyone, and cheers.